So hello everyone. I'm so sorry that I totally forgot my English, listening to Portuguese all the day without understanding anything. So it will come little by little. I practice saying hello to start with. So hello again. This is my second time in Lisbon, but I must admit that I totally don't remember the first time. It was 2 years ago, the day that my plane landed, uprisings happened in Istanbul. So I then understood why we use the terms here and now together, because the whole travel was very much in the moment, very much now, but totally about Istanbul. It was totally about there. I kept on checking what's going on my, cell phone, on Twitter, etc., trying to find a spot. I mean, all the places that I'm walking around meant a Wi-Fi for me, if I can find a Wi-Fi, something like that. But what happened back then was somehow related to what we're going to talk about today. Because me and the younger generations in Turkey were raised up quite non-political, because our parents suffered a lot from the political crises happening all the time. So we had no idea that we had that kind of a capacity for a city of people getting out on the streets and saying no to the government, that we don't like that is happening. We had no idea that there was that kind of a political capacity in us. I mean, our parents were totally surprised, like, oh, we thought they were not into politics at all. But we were also surprised by ourselves. So there was a dormant potential that was lying there, even though nobody told us how to do it. And it was very inspiring, surprising. And today what we're going to talk about is a little bit about that, a little bit about finding another self in yourselves, another dormant potential in yourselves that you can think about adding to your coaching. Or if you're not, practicing coaching, but just somehow here as HR professionals, leaders, maybe just add something to your own life or your professional life. So, the idea behind it, is it working? Yeah. Is we all come to the world like this. Little babies, cute, okay, but also very vulnerable. We don't know how to, feed ourselves. We don't know how to express our needs. We don't know how to go from one place to the other. We always need somebody else, our caregivers, to do that for us. And while growing up, we learn from them how to feed ourselves, how to walk around, how to express ourselves. And this vulnerability doesn't go away. It is always present there. It's present when you're learning a new language. It's present while you're entering a room of total strangers. It is present here, me, giving this speech in my not native language to you and trying to present what I'm trying to say. It's present for every one of us. That vulnerability comes along with us all the time. So when we are growing up, we not only learn from our parents how to do those physical activities, talking, walking, etc., but we also learn how to behave to be accepted socially in the area that we're growing up. So we come into this world like this clean, fertile soil that has different seeds in it, and little by little we start to grow. How does it happen? I'm going to talk about an instant that I remember happening while I was a child. We talked about the people stories thing. I used to sit by the window, watch people passing by and make up stories in my mind. And I remember moments where my mother used to call me, "Don't sit lazy over there, come help me lay the table." And repeat these scenes a few times. I learned that it was expected and accepted to do things. I learned that it was expected to organize things, to help others. So I grew up a number of selves, basically, that's a good planner, a good organizer, a good doer, a helper for other people. So this is how I turned out to be. That was the flower that I was becoming. So I kept on doing that. And this not only happens with your family members, you get into a business world, you get positive feedback for certain behaviors, and that parts develop more and more and more. And at one day, you say like, hey, I am an organized person. I am this flower, I am a helper. I am this. So we grow into this flower, but the thing that we're forgetting, that we are not the flower, we are the soil. We have different potentials in that soil still. We, for a long while, think, I'm just this. I'm just an organized person. I'm just a helper of other people. I am a doer. Because I also learned, while I was watching what was happening outside, that it was called lazy to be just there. That I learned that being creative in your mind was not taking any kind of, well done from your parents yet. So I kind of buried them. But they didn't die. They just become dormant. They were in the soil. They were there. In the shadow, but they were there. They just didn't have the opportunity to grow. Nobody really put some water into that flower. So it's just a few other flowers grew. This one was just little dormant. How many of you watched this one? Yeah? Yeah? And for those who didn't watch it, this is the Pixar animation, the recent Pixar animation. It's calling these little things emotions. I'm calling them selves in us, in my own jargon, let's say. This story is about a little teenage girl moving from one city to the other. She happens to be a very joyful girl, loved by her friends, sportive, etc. But she moves to another city. She's somehow missing what's going on in her past life. She's trying to adapt. And her joyful self, this green big one, is the joy. It's the self. It's the thing that thinks it is the flower that's running the show, is still trying to control things like that. Still trying to be joyful, even though there is that sadness about moving and leaving her life behind. And these little ones, this little one is sadness, and this little one is anger. And you might notice that joy is a tall, big one, because it grew. All the opposites of it stayed small. They were not allowed to grow. Another thing that you might notice, looking at this picture, and the ones that watch the movie would recognize, every one of these selves has a different personality. You might notice that these two are men. They are not even, it's in a lady, but they are men, manly energies. These others are women. Some of them wears like more winter clothes. The other is more, fresh clothes, summer, spring clothes. And so they all have different personalities, and in each one of us, all these selves somehow reside, and they have these different personalities. When you open your drawers and picking up clothes, probably you're just unknowingly picking up clothes for those selves. the modes that you already have for that day. So we have our primary selves. Okay, the joy one in that case. In my case, the planned organizer one, the pleaser one. So they are there. But we also have, as I said, the disowned selves, the ones that we kind of left behind, kind of try to put away. And you've been sitting for a long while. Let's do an exercise. Just stand up on one leg only. This is what it is like when you're living your life totally from the primary selves. You might notice that this other one tries to kick in from time to time. But our inner critics say, no, that's not allowed. You cannot sit by the window. Just do things. So this is how it happens. We just think like we don't have this leg. No, we have it still. It just wants to come in for a little while. That's all. So thank you. So what we're trying to do is just remember that we have those two legs. Just remember that we have different capacities. Not necessarily to use them every time together. You might again have a preferred leg that you take your steps with most of the time. But just know that this is there, and when this is tired, that you can bring this one in. Because even though you don't allow this one coming in, it does come in. Where it comes in your judgments of other people. It comes when you're dreaming. It comes when you're fantasizing about something. It comes in crisis situations. So it comes from time to time. So, but if you don't recognize that and just push it in the shadow, what happens is you always get a energetic thing going on between the two of them. You try to stand on this one and that one kicks in, that one kicks in. There is always that energetic thing going on, but when you are aware of it, you can handle this energetic thing going on in a different way. When you create an awareness that, okay, I have that capacity in me and also that one, the disowned self just comes forward, not anymore in the shadow. And the beautiful thing is, you create this middle point where you can say, I'm not neither that, I'm nor this. I have a central position that I can choose from. It's not a kind of a process that you always stay there. In our daily lives, we are more in one or the other end of the spectrum. But at least from time to time recognizing, okay, no, I'm not the flower, I am the soil. So I have what else capacities in me. And then at that very middle position, you can make choices. And this is what we call an aware ego, not an ego, but an aware ego that knows all the other capacities and make choices and make actions from there. Our clients, most of the time, when they're making decisions, when we're asking for some things, if they are over there from the primary self, they might be forgetting about the other part. So who is talking, who is making the choices is an important thing to consider. And also for ourselves. Who am I as the coach when I'm coaching the other person? Which of my selves are in action? So, these are the selves that I figured out that I have so far in me. That was a blank one. I figured it out. The original one, the first I've put this organizer controller here, and then the second was the pusher, trying to do things. And I also have this little pleaser and the carer over here. I have a very strong, thanks to my father, he was an engineer, an intellectual analytical one. So those were the cells that I knew that existed. from time to time, oh yeah, obviously I had the perfectionist. You can see it here, but I was making this chart and I wrote something wrong over there, and I picked up my correction pen, just cleaned it up, and that's my perfectionist. It comes in from time to time. So those were the things I already knew. The more I looked to the shadow, I recognized that I have that feminine self. I have that being that has been there for many years, but I didn't use. I have the creative one, the writer. I have a spiritual, intuitive one, which I very recently developed. So there are these other parts that I found out. And this is how things look like when there is a crisis situation. I have that angry explosion one, and my organizer self turns into a little dictator, dictating people what to do. So these are all the other things. Yeah, the carer turns into a needy one. Do you still love me? Kind of a one. So this is how things look like for me. So let's find out how things look like for you. Just if you have a piece of paper, you can just draw this little man and just write down, or you can also, as I did, paint. If you don't have a paper, you can just use the notes of your, cell phones, and just write down what selves do you already know in you. Which of the selves do you already know in you? It will be a 3-minute exercise. Just take your time. The more and more you write, you would remember some other things. What other modes you have that you already know? So I want you to consider what selves of you are there while you're coaching. It could be either already on your list that you made, that you recognize, or you can also think about these aspects of coaching, like the cognitive aspects. Do you use certain tools, methods, models? What's the physical aspects of your coaching? Like, where do you meet? What do you wear? If you're not a coach, if you're just a leader in a certain company, just in your professional life, what's the clothes you would like to wear, and what's the environment you would like to work in? You can also think about that. And how is you emotionally close with your clients? Do you reveal yourself? Do you keep yourself to yourself, really? Or just how much time do you give? If the time runs away, do you give more time? Do you just cut it? How's your relationship with time? And how's your relationship with money? Are you okay to ask for it? Not okay? How much do you charge? Just think about those aspects. And you can also consider the spiritual aspects, the beliefs, the values, and also if you do some kind of rituals, etc. In the coaching. These are just some food for thought. Just consider which selves of you are present while you're coaching. So for the ones that are done, I'll give you a total of 4 minutes so that you can share in pairs what you found out about yourselves and your coaching selves. So everybody takes 2 minutes to exchange. You're enjoying, I know. That's the thing about the primary selves. They enjoy talking about themselves a lot. Yeah, I'm like this. I like that. Like, I'm good at doing this and that. Yeah, they do. So, just because the time is tight, because we can go on like that forever. And I now want you to think about a new capacity that you would like to explore. That new capacity could be a few things. One, since you already made some notes about which selves you're using, you might have noticed that there is a self in you that you use in your private life that you don't bring into coaching. You might have noticed that kind of a self. Let me say it again slower. You might have noticed in the first chart while you were doing this that you wrote down some things which you don't use here. That you have that capacity, but you're not showing that to your clients. That could be. Or it could be like, it's not on this list, but you are curious about it. Like the way I developed my intuitive self. It was shown on the MBTIs that I have a strong intuition, but I had no idea that I was using that. And it appeared, it was actually on my report saying like, since your judgmental is very high, you're not using your intuition enough. So I already knew, just because of that report, that I have that capacity, but I didn't use it. So I was already curious about learning that. It could be something like that. It could be like, I don't know, a creative self. Or you can recognize that you're so nice that you can't sell. I don't know. Something that you already know in your life that you're struggling with. It could be that kind of a capacity that you already know that you want to explore. Or, the best part is you have no idea. And for those who have no idea, I also have a trick. Wait a few more minutes before I give the instructions for the others first. For those who just know which self they want to explore, I want you to gaze around this room and think, if that self of me was a person, was a personality, like those little drawings in the movie, where would that like to stand on? Where would it position itself in this room? Where? Like on the stage, somewhere behind there, maybe on that mezzanine over there. Just look around the room. Where would that person be sitting or standing? So just think about that. And for those who have no clue what to do, that's the easiest. Just pick a place that you would never choose in this room. Yeah, it could be outside, but it would be difficult to, follow the instructions. That's why. I also thought about maybe using outside, but it would be difficult. We don't have something like that. So there might be others in the room saying, like, really? Are we going to do that? For those, I want you to explore your experimenting self, your playful self. Those that are like, really, am I going to do this? Just do it. Just enjoy. So before we will move because we've been sitting for the whole day. We need some movement. I need to set the idea that it will be an energy work. Yes, some part of it would be you would be thinking about it, but you would recognize that your bodies are just finding a position. Just energetically, they will find their right position to stand on or sit. So for that energy move, we are a bunch of people. There will be lots of energies moving. We need some anchors. And there will be two anchors. One would be your own very seats. That will be your soil that you come back to after you make the exploration. So you would recognize that in this work, we choose our positions according to their closeness to us, what we feel like this is me, their distance to us. And the other anchor is me as the facilitator. Some of the people just want to get behind me. Some of them just want to be just in front of me. I don't know why, it's just energy work. So what I'm going to do while I'm reading, I'm interviewing each one of you. It will be a silent interview. I would ask questions, you would just think about it in your own, in yourselves. But I would not change my position, I would just stand here, this white place over here. So, whenever you feel like ready, just remember which self you want to explore and just move there. Can I see the hands of those that found their place? They're in their place, okay. Some people still need to figure out, okay. Okay. Yeah. I asked if you already found your place or you're still trying to find. Yeah. So, as I said, this would be a silent interview. I want you, while you're in your new positions, to think about these questions and answer them for yourself. Firstly, welcome you all. Who are you? How is your relationship with this person that brought you there? Does this person know about you? Does this person allow you to be in her or his life? And think about yourself. How do you look like? I said this would be a silent interview. But we can hear from two people, if there is anyone who would like to introduce him or herself to us. You don't have to, but if you feel like it, we can meet you. Okay, so if you're ready, you can go back to your seats, to your soil. Before you interact, if you feel like it, you can just take a few notes for yourself about the what you said to yourself. Just make a few notes, maybe. And then we're going to share in pairs again about what was the experience, what you've noticed. Just be tender about this person because it was the first time it was out probably, or I don't know. So just be careful that it might be vulnerable. Just share the amount that you feel like sharing.